Are the Chicago Bulls fools gold, or is Billy Donovan a fool with gold? Plus, the Chicago Bears switched their gears and focused on the Minnesota Vikings. And then you also have the Blackhawks. They got a point last night, but they lost in overtime to the New Jersey Devils. Plus, we're going to touch on all things Chicago sports related. It's your boy, Big Kev, right after the intro. Good morning, Chicago sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Chi-Town Sports Central. Y'all already know that this is your boy Big Kev. You can follow me at Big Kev from the Chi, Big Kev from DACHI, or at Chicago White Sox Central, right here in the Chi-Town Sports Central network. And then, of course, you can hit us up at Chi-Town Sports Central at gmail.com with any questions, concerns, and or comments. And listen, we were riding high. It was all good just a week ago with the Chicago Bulls, and now they have come crashing down to earth with their 4 straight losses. And last night's loss would have been more palatable had they played an NBA team. But no, the Chicago Bulls lose to the Detroit Pistons without Cade Cunningham, without Asur Thompson, without Jalen Duren, without a bunch of other players. No Tobias Harris, no Jaden Ivey. They got killed by a team that was led by Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson torched the Chicago Bulls last night. And frankly, it just makes me wonder about Billy Donovan yet again. The Bulls are sitting at 6-5, which is not we've seen the Bulls start off 2-9. We've seen them start off 3-8, 4-7, so on and so forth. So sitting at 6-5, above 500, 11 games into the season is not bad. But considering that the last 3 games were all winnable games, when you look at the Cleveland game, you look at the San Antonio game, you look at the Detroit Pistons game, all 3 of these games were winnable games if not for 2 people, Billy Donovan and Nicola Vucevic. Oh my God. Like if you can get any, it doesn't get any worse than the decision making and the execution of these 2 players over the last 3 games. It's annoying to see a team with the potential that the Chicago Bulls have lose games that they should win. Right? They're the Cleveland Cavaliers game. They had one. They were up going into going late into the fourth quarter, and they fell apart. In that game, Nikola Vucevic had 9 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Now, mind you, Jalen Smith had 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 4 for 4 from 3, 6 for 6 from the field. Didn't miss a shot, and he played 19 minutes. And none were worse than the last 5 minutes of the game when Billy Donovan decided to reinsert Nikola Vucevic into the lineup, where he proceeded to get cooked, miss shots, and just look bad. And then you go to the next game versus the San Antonio Spurs, where the Bulls led again, had a late lead up until Billy Donovan decided to put Vooch back in the game and watch him get cooked by Victor Wembanyama. It all surmised into the situation where it was all summed up with where Billy left Vooch on an island with Victor Wembanyama, and he just decided to pull up for 3 and take the lead, and then that's pretty much the end of the game. And in that game, Nikola Vucevic had 11 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 for 14 from the field. Jalen Smith off the bench in 21 minutes, 11 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 for 13 from the field. Not much better, but did pretty much the same thing that he did in less minutes, and played better defense than Vooch did, because Vooch was out there giving up backdoor cuts, layups, dunks, and 3-pointers. And then you go to last night, where the Chicago Bulls scratched and clawed to get back into a game that they were losing by double digits all night to the G League Detroit Pistons. A dude named P. Reed. I don't even know his first name. I'm guessing it's Paul. Paul Reed had 28 points and 13 rebounds last night versus the Chicago. He averages 6.8 points a game on the season. And he killed the Bulls last night. Pretty much the Detroit Pistons were able to do everything that they wanted to do, right? However, the Chicago Bulls scratched clawed to get back into the game to within 1 point when they were. It's not a game they were supposed to win. They lost the way they were supposed to lose. But massive efforts from Vucevic, 21 points, 14 rebounds, 2 blocks. Isaac Okoro, 15 points. Kevin Huerter, 20 points. Obviously, we're out Josh Giddey. We're without, the other players who haven't played this season. Nicola Vucevic against a bunch of no names in 25 minutes, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 for 10 from the field. When those guys were out there, that bench unit was out there putting in work to get the team back into contention, instead of Billy Donovan doing what any competent coach would do and leaving the guys who got you back into the game in the game, he decides to start tinkering with the lineup. Took Trey Jones out the game, took Jalen Smith out the game, put Nicola Vucevic back in the game, and the wheels fall off. Now, I grew up watching Chicago Bulls and the Michael Jordan. I grew up watching Phil Jackson just let the team right the ship itself. And we've seen Steve Kerr do it. We've seen Greg Popovich do it. And when you have a team that's down by 15, 16, 17, 18 points with 7, 8 minutes to go in the game and they scratch and claw to get back into it, you do not take those players out and put in the starters who didn't do anything to get your team back into the game. And that's what Billy Donovan has been doing for the last 3 games. You're looking at a team that should be 9-3. But now they're sitting at 6-5. They should be 9-2. But now they're sitting at 6-5. They should be sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference. But now they're at the bottom of the playoff hunt. Because Billy Donovan and the Chicago Bulls organization seem to crave, to lust after mediocrity. Like, oh no, what? We started 6-1. Oh, not us, not the Bulls. No way we want to sustain that. No way we appreciate the accolades that we're getting from and the attention that we're getting from the national media. You know what? Let's go ahead and pull the rug from underneath our own feet and go crash into the ground. There's no way the Chicago Bulls should have lost these last 3 games. None whatsoever. But because this team seems to be tied at the hip, at the heart, at the soul with Billy Donovan, there's no way the Chicago Bulls will be able to take the next step that they should be able to take, because these guys just don't know how to win basketball games. Nikola Vucevic had a great start to the season, but he's come crashing down to earth. And you, as a coach, you have to know when to sit down your veterans who are not producing. He's not earning these late game minutes. Teams are licking their chops when they see him on the court because they know they can just drive to the basket without any resistance. After taking Jalen Smith out and putting Vooch back in, the Detroit Pistons went right back to their game plan of driving to the basket because they knew that Nikola Vucevic would just watch them. There was a stretch where there was a guy, it wasn't even a fast break. He was one-on-one with Vooch, left-hand layup. It's a tight game. It's a 4-point game late in the quarter. Did you think Vooch fouled him, reached for the ball, jumped to try to block it? No, he just watched him lay the ball up. I could get paid $20 million a year to do stuff like that. So to say that I'm frustrated, that's to say the least. The rest of the guys are frustrated too. So if you want to hear anything else about the Chicago Bulls, head on over to Chicago Bulls Central, the Shot Bulls podcast with C-Dub and Bobby, and Locked On Bulls with Hayes and Pat, the designer. But I'm pissed. Chicago, that's the most embarrassing loss that the Bulls have had in the last 3 seasons to a team that had No starters. None. Just despicable. Chicago Bears are taking on the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday, and they can do a lot to improve their chances to make the playoffs if they go into Minnesota and get the victory. Now, we already know the history of the season. Chicago Bears had a big lead against Minnesota to start the season, and they ended up taking that game away. And it was Ben Johnson's introduction to football culture in Chicago. You don't just get easy wins. You're going to have to scratch and claw to the very last second of pretty much every game. And that's just how it's been for the Bears, with the exception of the Detroit, the Dallas, or the Detroit game, obviously, because we got our asses kicked. But the Dallas Cowboy game where the Bears took off on those guys because they suck. They have no defense, and the Bears defense was on fire that day. However, this game versus Minnesota on Sunday afternoon is going to be a dogfight. Make no bones about it. The Minnesota Vikings is trying to stave off elimination from any type of playoff contention. Now, I know it's too early to say things like that, but if you fall to 4-6 and you lose a division game this late in the season, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. The Chicago Bears are currently 0-2 in their division. They've lost to Detroit. They've lost to Minnesota. They cannot lose to Minnesota on Sunday and expect to, one, win the division, which is very much in play, and two, make the playoffs, which is also very much in play. And nobody can say that they expected the Chicago Bears to be sitting in this position at this point in the season. Now, it's a long season remaining. They still got this game and probably the toughest schedule left in the NFL. But you got to play the games in front of you. You got to go 1-0 every single week. And that's what the Chicago Bears are trying to do. And Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, they're turning me into a believer. However, the Minnesota Vikings they're sitting at 4-5, but the team itself, they're not playing too badly. Right now, their margin of loss is like less than a point, well, a little bit over a point per game. They score 22.3, they give up 23.7. That's a team that's going to be in it at the end of the game. There's no real separation on pretty much any measurable statistical category. Seriously, they passed 1,780 yards on the season. They gave up 1,725 yards on the season. What? They averaged 98 yards a game. They give up 192 yards a game. They rush for 919 yards on the season. They give up 1,130. So that's a big difference. The Bears are a solid rushing team. They're a solid rushing team. So if the Bears are going to win this game, and we'll get into the keys of the victory, but one is obviously running the damn ball. And I know you guys get tired of hearing us over here and, of course, over on Chicago Bears Central begging Ben Johnson to run the ball. But, hey, it is what it is. They still average 147 yards per game in rushing, but give up 135. Now, lately, they've been pretty solid at stopping the run. I'm not going to act like they haven't. Right now, the Minnesota Vikings only rush for 102 yards per game, but we know that Jones is a Chicago Bears killer. So he's going to go out there and try to get 100 rushing yards. Now, they also have Jordan Mason. He's been solid, averaging about 4.5 yards per carry. Aaron Jones is averaging 5.2 yards per carry, though. I think he's going to play the game. It looks like he's been injured and out of the lineup. But the Chicago cannot afford to overlook this team. They can't afford to overlook anybody, frankly. That's just how the Bears are. I don't care if they're playing against Morgan Park. It just is what it is. And I will say this. I know that Minnesota has been paying attention to the last few quarterbacks that the Chicago Bears have faced, and they're going to implement some design quarterback run for J.J. McCarthy. And he's not bad. He's rushed the ball 21 times in 4 games for 110 yards averaging 5.2 yards per carry, and he has 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, the one thing that the Chicago Bears can rely on is takeaways this upcoming game, whether it's Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy. Now, and Carson Wentz is injured, so I doubt that he's going to be out there at all. But J.J. McCarthy has 6 interceptions in 4 games. Got to take the ball away. And fumble-wise, they have 15 fumbles on the season. So the Chicago Bears defense goes out there and takes care of business in terms of taking the ball away. It should be a victory. But again, Chicago Bears, they make us watch to the end of every game. So my keys to the victory are, 1, keep Caleb upright. Last week versus the Giants, Lions and Tigers and Bears, the Giants, the Chicago Bears did not give up any sacks. And that's not necessarily because they didn't try to, because Caleb Williams had to escape a few times. But that defensive line of the New York Giants, they don't have the same type of personnel on their defensive line. So Caleb Williams should have time to scan the field, go through his reads, and put up plays. Don't turn the ball over, Caleb, but you should have time in that backfield. So 1, make sure that these guys don't get to Caleb. Number 2, run the damn ball. You average 150 yards rushing for the season. 150 yards a game. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, Ben Johnson. Hand that ball off to Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. Get some inside zones, some outside plays, and control the flow of the game, because it's going to be a raucous crowd in Minnesota. You want to take them out the game early. And defensively, get back to your early season ways and take the ball away. For the last couple of games, we've seen quarterbacks get comfortable and have record-breaking performances versus the Chicago Bears defense. Whether it's passing the ball with Joe Flacco passing for 500 yards, or Jackson Dart going for 200 yards in the first half, first time a Giants rookie ever did that, or Tyler Huntley just going out there and not having any incompletions. I think he had like 1 or 2 incompletions versus the Bears in the entire game, both Baltimore game. So secondary, I don't care how many injuries we got back there. Nashawn Wright, Gardner, Tyreek Stevenson, stop getting burned. Go out there and play defense. So that's it, man. Make sure that Caleb has time to throw the ball, run the ball, and defensively get some takeaways. This team is turnover prone. They throw interceptions and they fumble the damn ball. But y'all already know what it is, man. Head on over to Chicago Bears Central if you want to hear anything else leading up to this Bears versus Vikings game. You have the mailbag with C-Dub and Bobby on tomorrow as well. And then holding it down with your daily content. Chicago Blackhawks. They had a chance to beat the New Jersey Devils that last night, and they wet the bed in the third period. Every time they took the lead in the third period, they gave up a goal to tie it, and they go to overtime and lose it. Now, they did get the point, which is important in hockey. Like, you can lose the game but still gain momentum. So now you have a 3-way tie in points between the Jets, the Mammoth, and the Blackhawks. That's the difference between third place and fifth place. So the Chicago Blackhawks have work to do. If they win their next game, though, they pick up 2 more points, they can be right back in third place. But damn, it was tough to watch them lose in overtime after it looked like they had the game won in regulation. Every time they went up by a goal, they would give up that game tying goal. So it's nothing more pressure packed than a close hockey game in the final seconds. I'm telling you, if you don't watch hockey, you experience anxiety dealing with how these games go when it's a 1-point game or a tie game in the last 2 minutes. It's nothing more pressure packed. And I've watched a lot of basketball, I've watched a lot of football, and I've watched a lot of hockey, and I've watched a lot of baseball. And all of those situations are pressure packed, but hockey is just the frenetic pace of it all. It's just it's crazy. It is crazy. But yeah, we're still looking for a host for Chicago Blackhawks Central. So let us know if you're interested. Comment down below. Interested if you want to join the team and talk hockey with us. Chicago Cubs. They claim they want to bring back Kyle Tucker, but they are also like, hey, if you come back, it's fine. If you don't, we'll be fine. So it is what it is. But my boy Big Mike is talking about the Cubs over on Chicago Cubs Central. Hit them up. I'll be talking about the Chicago White Sox today and what Chris Getz has to say at the GM meetings and what they expect from the Chicago White Sox in this upcoming season and what they plan to do this offseason. We'll also talk about players that need to do better. And then, of course, Grady Sizemore leaving the team to go join the ops. We'll talk about all of that over on Chicago White Sox Central. So stop what you're doing right now. Go to Chicago White Sox Central, hit that like and subscribe button, and check out today's episode. And the Chicago Sky have a 9.5% chance at getting the number 2 overall pick. So there's a chance that they can change the fortune of their franchise and pick up a point guard or a forward that can help them out. A forward who can shoot, by the way. They need somebody, or a guard, somebody that can shoot the three. Frank Mine, she's a 6-year senior. She's going to TCU after playing most of the first 5 years of her career with the Notre Dame. Maybe she could be one, but of course, head over to Chicago Sky Central and hear what Hayes, C-Dub, Steve-O, what they have to say about the Chicago Sky and their chances of getting the number 2 overall pick and what they should do with that pick, with said pick, if they acquire it. All right, it's your boy Big Kev, man. Y'all already know what to do. Hit me at Big Kev from the shop, Big Kev from DACHI, or follow me over on Chicago White Sox Central. Don't forget to follow the rest of the Chi-Town Sports Central family by typing in your favorite Chicago sports team, putting the word Central behind it. You will find one of us, as well as the Chi Boys podcast with C-Dub and Bobby, NBA Central, NFL Central, and Fighting Illini Central, and of course, Locked On Bulls with Hayes and Pat, the designer. It's your boy Big Kev holding it down for all things Chi-Town. Comment, like, share, mess with your boy, man. We on here pretty much every single day, and we gonna holler at you guys next time. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.